Hi, I'm Miss Shelley, and welcome to my science show. Now, some people may say that I'm not exactly a natural-born athlete. But I think if I think critically about the science behind pushes and pulls, that maybe I just might be able to beat Cameraman Dave at a game of air hockey. Nothing but net.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
A push is when you move an object away from you. A pull is when you move an object towards you. Pinball is a great example of pushes and pulls. You start the game by pulling on a lever. When you let go of that lever, it pushes the pinball into the game. Once the pinball is in the game, I'm going to control levers using these buttons here on the side of the game. The levers are going to push that pinball all over the game so I can rack up as many points as possible and get my name on that leaderboard. I have a cause and effect question for you. Now, in case you don't know, cause is when something happens, and the effect is what happens afterwards. Now, in a game of pinball, when a lever pushes on a pinball, is the ball going to move towards the lever or away from the lever? Away from the lever. Strength is how hard or soft you push or pull on an object. Now, in a game like basketball, strength is really important because if I push too softly, the ball's not going to make it to the hoop. But on the other hand, if I push it too hard, I'm going to overshoot the hoop. So I gotta go somewhere in the middle. Let's see. Now it's time for another cause and effect question. If you push softly on a toy car, is that toy car going to go a short distance or a long distance? A short distance. Pushes and pulls can change the direction an object is moving. Direction meaning forwards, backwards, left, right, up, down. In the game of skee-ball, the ball changes directions constantly when it bounces off of the targets. For example, the ball can be rolling in a perfectly straight line, but when it bounces off a target, it might make a hard left or a hard right and miss the target completely. Cause and effect question. If the skee-ball bounces off one of the side walls of the game, is it going to keep moving in a straight line or is it going to change direction? It's going to change direction. Now it's time to put together what I know about pushes, pulls, strength, and direction to try to win that game of air hockey against Cameraman Dave. Let's do this.
Hello, sports fans. What a day it is for hockey. We've got Miss Shelley versus Cameraman Dave. Miss Shelley is clearly on a mission, using her pushes and pulls knowledge to stop the puck and to move it slowly left to right, psyching out the goalie that Sports Illustrated called should stick to running camera. She stops the puck, musters up her strength, pulls back, pushes the puck, bounces off the side, and I can't believe it, it's a goal! It's in goal for Miss Shelley!
Woo! Today, we learned about pushes, pulls, strength, and direction. A push is when you move an object away from you. A pull is when you move an object towards you. Strength is how hard or soft you push or pull on an object. And direction is the way an object is moving. You can definitely change the direction of an object with pushes and pulls, just like when I bounced that puck off of the wall and pushed it into Cameraman Dave's net, right?
I won't talk about it.
Oh well. I hope you join me next time on another episode of Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Hi, I'm Miss Shelley, and here at Miss Shelley's Science Show, Cameraman Dave and I can control a lot of things, but we can't control the weather. So today we're going to use a little Hollywood magic to talk about weather and the seasons. Let's go.
Oh, way too cold.
Oh, warmer. Just right.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Weather is what it's like outside right now. There's many different types of weather. For example, you can have sunny weather, cloudy weather, partly cloudy weather, which is sort of in between sunny and cloudy. There's rainy weather, and sometimes it can turn into stormy weather. Snowy weather. That's my least favorite kind of weather. And then there's windy weather. That's when the air is moving around really fast. Really?
You gotta be authentic.
Temperature is another piece of weather. Temperature is how hot or cold it is outside. You can have really, really hot weather, or you can have really cold weather, or you can have cool and warm weather, which are in between. Weather and seasons have a lot of patterns. A pattern is something that repeats again and again and again. One type of pattern is daytime and nighttime. During the day, temperatures are usually warmer because the sun is high in the sky. At nighttime, temperatures are usually cooler because the sun is no longer in the sky. Earlier, we said that weather is what it's like outside right now. Seasons are weather over time. There are 4 main seasons, and they repeat over and over and over again in a pattern. Winter is the first season. In winter months, we experience cold temperatures and lots of snowy weather. You might find yourself wearing heavy jackets, hats, scarves, and mittens. Spring comes after winter. In the spring, temperatures start to warm up, it rains a lot, and flowers spring up from the ground. In the spring, you might find yourself wearing rain boots, rain jackets, and carrying an umbrella around. Summer comes after spring. In the summer, it gets really hot. You might find yourself wearing short sleeves, shorts, flip-flops, and maybe even a bathing suit if you get to go to the pool. And then there's spooky season.
Shelley, there's no spooky season.
Oh, sorry. Pumpkin spice season?
No, fall or autumn.
Oh, but spooky season's so much more fun sounding.
Well, we gotta teach the kids.
You're right. Fall comes after summer. In the fall, temperatures start to cool down, leaves fall from the trees, and Miss Shelley's favorite holiday, Halloween, takes place. In the fall, you might find yourself wearing a light sweater, or maybe a Halloween costume. The seasons always repeat in the same order, time after time after time. It's a pattern. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Winter, spring, summer, fall.
Winter, spring, summer, fall. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Winter, spring, summer, fall.
I have a pattern question for you. Remember, a pattern is something that repeats in the same order time after time after time. If you're currently in the summer season and the weather is hot, what can you predict will happen as you move into the fall season?
It's going to cool down.
Today, we learned about weather, seasons, and patterns. Weather is what it's like outside right now. Seasons are weather over time, and a pattern is something that repeats in the same order time after time after time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on another episode of Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Hi, I'm Miss Shelley, and welcome to my science show. Here in my kitchen, there's a lot of things that I have to take care of. My dog Ronnie, for example, needs food and water. My plants need water and sun. And my fish live in their water, but they still need their food. And that reminds me, Cameraman Dave, Humans need food and water too. What do you want for lunch?
I don't know, whatever you want.
Well, I'm kind of busy acting in this video.
Well, I'm filming the video, so you decide.
Fine. Let's learn more about what plants and animals need to survive, and maybe by the end of the video, we can figure out what we want for lunch.
We could go White Castle.
I'm not gonna have White Castle while we're filming.
You never let us have White.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Plants and animals come in all different shapes and sizes, but they all need water and air to survive. Plants in nature get their water from the rain. They absorb it through their roots that are in the ground. Animals, on the other hand, drink their water from sources like rivers, ponds, lakes, and streams. Or if you're human, you might get your water from a faucet in your kitchen and drink it out of a fancy Pac-Man mug. As for air, fish get their air from the water they live in. They use a special organ called gills to take the air out of the water. They can't get air unless they're in the water, so just let them stay put. Plants take in air through their leaves, and animals, like Ronnie and I, use lungs to take in the air around us. I think Ronnie farted. Where animals and plants differ is plants don't eat food. They use light from the sun to make their own food through a process called photosynthesis. That's why it's really important that I make sure I put my plants near a window so they can get all the light they need to survive. Animals eat food to survive. Some animals only eat plants, and we call those animals herbivores. Some animals only eat meat, and we call them carnivores. Some animals, like humans, eat both meat and plants, and we call them omnivores. So, some animals might eat only grass, or fish, or deer.
Or wait, some animals might eat White Castle.
Who's running the camera?
I really just have to hit record. I don't like to do anything.
Well, since cameraman Dave has already eaten, let's figure out what Miss Shelley's going to eat for lunch. Since I'm an omnivore, I decided to make a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. The lettuce and tomato are both plants that grew using air, water, and sunlight outside. Since omnivores eat both plants and animals, I fried up some bacon that came from a turkey. Spread some mayonnaise on some bread and put it all together. Today we learned that plants and animals need air, water, and food to survive. One big difference is plants don't eat food. They make their food using sunlight through a process called photosynthesis. Now, unlike cameraman Dave, Miss Shelley decided to make a healthy lunch with her BLT sandwich. And I'm pretty hungry, so I'll see you next time on another episode of Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Hi, I'm Miss Shelley, and welcome to my science show. Since I live in Chicago, it can get pretty cold and damp outside, so I wear a nice heavy coat to keep me warm. Once I'm inside my house, I turn up the temperature on my thermostat, grab my dog Ronnie, and snuggle up under a blanket on the couch. Oh. There's other things humans have done too to survive in their environments, but I'm gonna take a nap while cameraman Dave sets up the next shot.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
We know that plants and animals need air, water, and food to survive. Depending on where a plant or animal lives, there are many different ways they may change their environment to help them survive. Some examples of where plants and animals live could be habitats such as the rainforest, the desert, a river, or if they're crazy, the Arctic. That one's not for me. While living in these environments, animals can change their surroundings to help meet their needs. For example, an animal living in a very hot desert environment might build a burrow underground to help them stay cool. Plants living on the bottom of the rainforest floor may begin to grab on and stick to surrounding plants to climb up to the sunlight. Animals living in cold Arctic climates might build dens that are insulated to keep them warm, huddle up in groups, or wear nice heavy coats and hats. Birds might use sticks and twigs to build a nest high up in a tree to keep themselves and their babies safe from predators. A beaver may slow or stop the flow of a river by building a beaver dam to live in. Sometimes it seems like Ronnie thinks he's a beaver. He builds beaver dams with his dog toys that block the flow of traffic from one room to the other. And these are just a few ways plants and animals can change their environments to survive.
What about humans? You said you'd give us more examples.
Oh, you're right. I think I know what this show needs. A little cross-curricular connection with history. Off to the library. Throughout history, humans have changed their environment to better suit their needs. By building roads, homes, and farmlands, they have lived in environments all over the world. From hot deserts to frozen tundras, humans have become the most adaptable animals in the world. Things like curling up with a blanket when you're cold, to pulling out an umbrella when it's raining outside, and standing under a tree on a sunny day, humans adapt to their environment all the time. I'm going back to modern times, but I hope you think about ways you adapt to your environment. And I'll see you next time on another episode of Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Welcome to Science News Tonight with your host, Miss Shelley, and your co-host, Miss Shelley. With sports, we have Miss Shelley. And covering the weather, we have Miss Shelley. Now, here's Miss Shelley.
Hello, and welcome to Science News Tonight, the only news source with a little picture of my dog Ronnie in the corner. It's been a busy day for news, right, Shelley? It certainly has been, Shelley. In our first story, this tornado isn't in Kansas anymore because it's in Missouri. To all of our viewers in the Show Me state, be careful out there. This violently rotating column of air just touched the ground. So be sure to get inside, listen for any tornado sirens or alerts on your TV, radio, or smart devices. That is scary stuff. Everyone, be careful out there. Now, let's turn to sports where our Chicago Bears were playing the Green Bay Packers. How'd the game go, Shelley? Well, the game actually got canceled due to a thunderstorm that came off of Lake Michigan right over Soldier Field. For everyone's safety, they called off the game a few hours before the storm front rolled in, allowing everyone to stay home and stay safe. That's too bad, but I'm glad everyone was able to stay safe. Me too, Shelley. And in a shocking turn of events, even though the game was canceled, the Chicago Bears still found a way to lose to the Green Bay Packers. Oof. I wish I could say I didn't see that one coming. Let's hope we have some better weather coming up. Let's see what meteorologist Shelley has to say. Well, I wish I had better news for you, Shelley. This being Chicago in the winter, we've gone straight from a thunderstorm right into a blizzard. We've been tracking the storm the last few hours, and our best estimate is that it will reach Chicago around 4 p.m., just in time for the rush hour traffic. We've alerted the city, and they've deployed their snowplows and salt trucks to help out with the snowy road conditions. Back to you, Shelley. Lucky for me, I have an hour commute home even when it isn't snowing. As you may know, our field reporter, Shelley, hates the cold. So as a treat, we sent her to Florida to catch some sun and give us some warm weather tips. Shelley, I hope you packed your sunscreen. Well, things have not gone to plan for old field reporter Shelley. A hurricane just came in off of the Gulf of Mexico. Thankfully, due to TV, radio, and phone notifications, residents were notified well ahead of time. They've been able to prepare their houses for strong wind and rain. It doesn't seem like there'll be much damage, just a lot of water. Back to you in the studio. Safe travels, Shelley. I hope you get a minute to hit the beach. Our top story tonight is the extreme weather taking place across the United States.
The United States is a huge country that can have every type of weather imaginable. In the South, there is an extreme heat warning requiring people to stay hydrated and stay out of the sun. In the Northeast, we have an extreme cold warning telling people to bundle up and stay inside. No matter what the weather is, we will always do our best to predict what's coming so you and your family can stay safe in any condition. Well, it looks like my car is already under a foot of snow, so I'm going to hang back and watch that miraculous Bears loss. Stay safe, stay informed, and stay classy. This is Science News Tonight.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
When you think about the greatest songwriting duos of all time, there is no equal to Miss Shelley, Cameraman Dave, and their world-changing hit, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. This classic track that covers the importance of helping our planet was a game-changer when it was released. Tonight on Behind the Song, we are going to learn the story behind a modern masterpiece.
It was a wild time. We were riding high off our first hit, the Miss Shelley Science Show theme song.
We were number 1 on the jingle chart and number 1 on the songs under 15-second chart. But surprisingly, we didn't do very well on TikTok.
I'm not gonna lie, the pressure was really mounting on us to write another hit, and I just wasn't finding any inspiration.
We knew we needed to write something we were passionate about, and one of my passions is recycling.
And even though I was 35 years old and had been married to Miss Shelley for 5 years, I had literally never heard of recycling. It was time for me to take a trip back to school.
In order to set the scene, I gave cameraman Dave some background on how humans change their environment to fit their needs, and sometimes those changes are bad. From polluting the air to littering on the ground, cutting down trees and paving over land to make roads, humans have had negative effects on our environment, but there are ways we can help. Then I hit him with some real knowledge, the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle.
My mind was blown. I love the letter R, I love acronyms, I love little ways that I can help the planet. Needless to say, I was excited.
The lyrics just flowed from us from that point on. We talked about reducing the amount of resources we use, reusing items to their full potential, and recycling instead of throwing away things so they don't end up in landfills.
Also, Miss Shelley taught me that we don't want to wish cycle. That's when we put something in recycling that can't be recycled, so then it just ends up in a landfill. So I took all the great information that Miss Shelley taught me, laid down some tasty tracks, and I knew we had another hit on our hands.
Why don't we stop talking about it and listen to our hit song, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle.
Let's talk about what you can do to reduce the waste you produce. When you go to the grocery store, bring your own bags and don't buy more food than you need so you can save. You won't have to throw anything away. Reduce, reuse, recycle, that is how we'll make a difference, and it's small steps that make giant change. And let's talk about our number 2. Here's some things that you can reuse. When you finish that bottle, don't throw it away. Fill it up and use it another day. Instead of always buying something new, hold on to those old clothes, hats, and shoes. Reduce, reuse, recycle, that is how we'll make a difference, and it's small steps that make giant change. The last star is recycling. Won't you help save the planet with me? Paper, plastic, aluminum cans, and don't forget your cardboards and glass. Reduce, reuse, recycle, how we'll make a difference. Reduce, reuse, recycle, that is how we'll make a difference. and it's small steps that make giant change. Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Hi, I'm Miss Shelley, and welcome to my science show. We've already learned that living things need air, water, and food to survive. So today, we're going to take a deeper look at the environments where living things live. Now, we didn't have time to go all over the world to find animals, so we asked Steve from Animal Quest to bring the animals to us.
Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Temperature plays a big part in where an animal can live. Cold-blooded animals can't regulate their body temperatures, so they tend to live in warm areas or have a way to survive cold winter temperatures. So Steve, you've brought us a cold-blooded animal. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, this is Tank, and he's called a savanna monitor. This is an African lizard. They're like 3 or 4 feet long when they're done growing. They like nice toasty temperatures. Generally, they eat mostly bugs and snails, as a matter of fact. They blend in extraordinarily well. See, they're mostly gray, and gray is a nice neutral color for blending with like a lot of different stuff. And kind of like speckly all over, and they got stripier bits towards the back. And this all kind of works together to make it hard for you to see this thing, unless you're really looking for it pretty hard.
So is it possible for a cold-blooded animal like Tank to get too hot? And if he does, what does he have to do?
Yes, so again, they can't regulate their own body temperature, right? So if they want to heat up, they got to sit in the sun. If they want to cool down, get in the shade. These guys are actually pretty good at digging holes. So if they got a nice hole nearby or one that's already been dug for them, they'll go in there where it's nice and cool, or get in the water. They're actually pretty good swimmers.
So now, Steve and I are on the ground with our next friend, who is a warm-blooded animal. Warm-blooded animals can regulate their body temperature, so they don't necessarily need to live somewhere that's warm. They just need to live somewhere where they can meet their basic needs of getting air, food, and water. So Steve, can you introduce us to our warm-blooded friend?
Yeah, this is Waldo, and he's called, well, they have a few different names. They're called Patagonian maras, Patagonian cavies, Patagonian hares, and they're also called dillabees. But yeah, they are a warm-blooded animal, and if you look at his ears, you can see one of the ways that they do regulate their body temperature. So they don't sweat or anything like we do to cool down. One of the ways they have to cool down is to use the blood vessels in their ears. So if you look, they're kind of thin, they got all the blood running through there, and if it's a particularly hot day, they can kind of fan those ears out as much as they can, and the air moving across those ears helps to cool down their entire body. It's pretty neat. They also have like some weird stuff about, I don't know if you could see on the back of his legs, they have this like thick callus, just thickened skin, because these guys are very social like their cousin the guinea pig, and they look out for each other. And one of the ways they do that is, so they have these burrows that are kind of set up like a little neighborhood, right? So everybody's got their own burrow, but everybody will take turns looking out for everybody. So they'll kind of sit on their back end, looking around, listening, smelling for trouble. If you ever had your leg fall asleep though, you need to get up and move around when your leg's asleep. That's a huge problem. These extra thick bits of skin on the back of their legs are help to prevent them from falling asleep. It's a neat little trick.
Now, some animals, like amphibians, need wet environments in order to survive. So Steve, can you tell us about this amphibian?
Yeah, this is Bowser, and she is a common snapping turtle. So these guys, we have them all over almost the entire United States. Like seriously, throw a rock, and if there's a body of water in it, it's probably got some snapping turtles in there. These guys are primarily in the water. And I mean, if you kind of look at them, it makes a lot of sense. They got the webbing. If you look at their tummy, their shell is made so that they can move their legs a little better so they can swim a little more efficiently. Now these guys are completely carnivorous. They eat a lot of fish. They'll eat sometimes other smaller turtles, frogs. Now they're what you usually call an ambush predator too, so they don't like go out of their way looking for stuff to eat. They just pick a nice cozy spot to hang out, kind of like this. And if something comes close enough, their neck is actually really long, and they whip it out really fast and just grab that thing and start horking it down. But if you get too close to them, they get really angry. They open that mouth, they hiss at you, and if you get too close, they will get you. But you're still, you know, they're not likely to come at you.
Okay. Diet is a very important part of an animal's survival. If an animal can't eat, it's not going to survive, and that's also going to dictate which environments they can live in. So we have a carnivorous animal here. And can you tell us a little bit about this animal?
Yeah, so her name is Vida, and she is a ball python. They're also called a royal python. But yeah, they are completely carnivorous. Not particularly picky either about what it is, but they're mostly terrestrial, so they like to stay on the ground or under the ground. So they'll eat all kinds of little mammals they find, but they're not opposed to eating things like birds' eggs or lizard eggs and stuff like that. They see okay, but kind of the way their eyes work, it's kind of harder for them to figure out if something is like alive unless it moves. So they have this sense of smell again to kind of try and find stuff. You'll find a lot of snakes too, and these guys have it. They have these little, it almost looks like she's got a mustache going on. But those are little heat sensing organs. So in addition to being able to smell things, they can kind of sense the heat coming off of stuff. So if you're hunting warm-blooded animals that have that body temperature, it's a lot easier to find them that way too.
So on the opposite end, some animals don't eat any meat at all and only eat plants. We call these animals herbivores. So can you tell us about the herbivore you brought in, Steve?
Yeah, this is Ivory, and she's called a chinchilla. And although they kind of look like a rabbit thing, they're a type of rodent, kind of like a mouse or a rat. These guys live in the Andes Mountains, and they mostly eat whatever seeds and flowering plants they can find. They like to spend a lot of time in burrows or like rocky crags and crevices, which is actually evidenced a little bit by looking at them. And you might notice she's got enormous whiskers, very, very long whiskers. So these guys spend a good deal of time in pretty dark places. Like they see well outside at night, but if you're like underground, there's a point where being able to see outside at night doesn't even matter anymore. So they use their whiskers to kind of feel around to make sure they know where they're going. But these guys are most well known for their hair. So they have the most hair of any land mammal, and they're really obnoxiously soft. So I tell people it's like you're touching a cloud. They're not supposed to get particularly wet because it's kind of hard for their hairs to dry out fully. So they bathe in kind of a weird way. They roll around in dust, right? And then just like a dog jumping out of the pool, they just kind of pop out and shake to get all that dust off. But it grabs onto other pieces of dirt and oils from your hands and stuff and just kind of plucks it off their hairs, leave them squeaky clean.
Ivory is like a cute little fluffy cloud. So today we took a deeper look at the environments where living things survive. We talked about carnivorous animals, herbivores, as well as cold-blooded and warm-blooded and amphibious animals. I hope to see you next time on another episode of Miss Shelley's Science Show.
Miss Shelley